Hello and welcome to the Crooked Letter Sports Podcast, a show about Mississippi sports and the folks who play them. I'm Tyler Cleveland, joined as always by my co-host and dad, Rick Cleveland of Mississippi Today. Dad, another busy week for you, but how you holding up?
Holding up fine.
Staying warm out here?
Doing the best I can. It's been pretty chilly, but it's fixing to warm up again.
Shocker.
Yeah.
Is this, and apparently this is pretty good for your golf game. You should probably take more days off because your first day back last week, you played pretty well.
I did.
Isn't that weird how that works? You play 3 days in a row. You'd think on day 3 you'd be at your best, but sometimes it takes I think the real story is there's no rhyme or reason to it at all.
Well, you remember me telling you about a month ago golf wasn't going to have me to kick around for a while.
Yeah, you said you were done for the year.
Well, and I took 3 weeks off, and then I came back and made a bunch of birdies.
There you go. Well, congratulations on that. That's my New Year's resolution, is to make more of those in 2026. Dad, we've got a good show today. Got a lot to get to. Of course, we've got Ole Miss facing Tulane in the playoff on Saturday in Oxford, something I know you and I are both really fired up for, but also some good stories around the state. Southern Miss went ahead and took just going to hire Blake Anderson, took the interim tag off of him, so he'll lead Southern Miss into the New Orleans Bowl next week as the permanent head coach. Something
they should have done a long time ago.
Well, we'll get to that for sure. We had a poignant story with the passing of Jay Ladner, Southern Miss basketball coach Jay Ladner's dad, the night before they played Ole Miss down at the Gulf Coast Coliseum, in a game that was probably a little too close for Ole Miss's liking. But
Southern led by 5 late in the game. Yeah,
I know. We'll get to that. And then, of course, we've got the Saints' complete ownership of the Carolina Panthers after sweeping the season series, and just one more step in the Tyler Shuck direction, which we'll get to. But, Dad, I don't think we can start anywhere else this week than to talk about this playoff game in Mississippi, the first one that has ever taken place in the Magnolia State, and the first playoff game for a Mississippi team. The first of hopefully many, 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 but sure is exciting right now.
It is. As we were talking on the way over here today, I don't know that in all the discussions that I hear with people talking about it, I just don't hear the word Tulane much,
Yeah. No, it's
a little worrisome.
It's like they're, like the, the undercard. You know what I mean? It's like they're.
Yeah, and I get it. Ole Miss beat their brains out when they played before, and Ole Miss should win the game and should win handily, and they are 17-point favorites. But Tulane did win 10 games.
Well, for what it's worth, I had a conversation with a Tulane fan last week, and he was bullish on the Green Wave and said that they got better throughout the season. They're playing their best ball right now, and if you watched all of their games this season, that was their worst game of the season by far, that they played the poorest they have all year against Ole Miss and Oxford earlier in the year, when, as you mentioned, they lost by 35 points. I don't know, how much rose-colored glasses that is. I think, as you do, I'm sure that Ole Miss is just way more talented.
If Ole Miss is focused and plays well, might be close for a while, but it won't be close at the end. But that's the question. Will they be focused and ready to play?
Well, there are a lot of distractions. They have on top of a new head coach, they are bringing in new coaches left and right for the Pete Golding staff going forward. There's old coaches from LSU coming back to help prepare the team for the game. There's a talk of all of Ole Miss's key players and contributors entering the portal. I saw Trinidad Chambliss took a question on this. Kawan Lacey took a question on this. All of them probably gone, by the way. Not all of them, but I would imagine there's going to be a large turnover. I can't imagine a scenario in this day and age where Kiffin does not take the players that he wants to take with him. And I'm sure he doesn't want to take them right now because, again, there's more than 7 figures on the line for Kiffin here if Ole Miss should win.
It's just so crazy. The whole football world, college football world, is upside down. And the fact that we're not talking about the matchup but talking about all these other factors, I just wonder if it's going to have any effect on the game.
Well, that's my take, is it shouldn't. Like, they should be able to win this game. Like, there's enough continuity on – well, I guess what is the old saying? It says there's not as much goodness, there's not as much grace, there's not as much in the world as you would like to see, but there's enough. I think that's the same with Ole Miss's football team right now. It's not going to be the continuity that they're used to. It's not business as usual, but there's enough talent and there's enough continuity to where it should not be a 35-point difference in a game on the exact same field that they won earlier this year. Should is the key word there. I mean, they should be able to take care of this. I think they just match up with Tulane. I think their defense is as physical as any that Tulane is going to has faced all year and will face all year. I really like the way they match up on that side of the ball in particular. And then I think that the evolution of the Ole Miss running game, where they really leaned into it towards the end of the year, I think Ole Miss's offensive line is really good when they're healthy and playing well. So I think that's the big difference in the two teams is up front, is what I'm trying to say, and ultimately that should shine through. I mean, it's not like all 5 guys on the offensive line aren't going to have an off day on the same day. You wouldn't think so. I think they match up well there, and ultimately they should win this game. I don't know that they'll cover 17. If I was going to bet on this game, I would take the under.
I don't even know what the over-under is. I'm not. I don't really pay attention to that stuff very much. But my first thought would be that Ole Miss will score a bunch of points. I mean, they got 45 last time, right?
They did. Well, the over-under is 56.5, which I guess is right in line because they scored 55 combined last time. I just don't think that with the turnover on the offensive staff, I mean, I know they've got some guys coming back to coach the game. I just don't know that they're, going to put up 40. And like I said, Tulane's playing better. But, I mean, I can see a game that's 28-17, 28-13, 20. I don't think Tulane is going to score 20. Is going to score 20 points.
You wouldn't think so.
I think if Ole Miss scores 30 points, they win this game comfortably. That's my take.
Well, we will see, and I'm looking forward to seeing.
I know, and in person. This is going to be a fun weekend up there. Dad, the other big news this week, I saw you went down to Hattiesburg on Monday for the announcement of Blake Anderson as Southern Miss's next football coach after Charles Huff left after only 1 year. What's your initial take on the hire, and how tough a road is this going to be for him?
It was going to be a tough road for whoever took the job. I mean, they lose 31 seniors, 18 starters, and that's before
Huff takes his guys.
Yeah, before Huff decides which ones he's going to take to Memphis. So, I mean, it was going to be an incredibly tough job immediately and long term. I think it was a slam dunk hire. I just don't see why you would go another direction. You've got a guy who's, as Jerry McClain said, this is the most accomplished head football coach Southern Miss has ever hired on the front end. He is. I mean, he's been a head coach in Division I 10 years and gone to 9 bowl games.
Yeah. Well, it's funny how you come full circle, because I was at the Hattiesburg American and sports editor of the Student Prince when they didn't hire Blake Anderson famously after that. Was it 2009 season, 2011? I can't remember which year. The year they beat Houston in the Conference USA Championship.
You mean the year they throttled Houston?
I mean, just beat the hell out of them, and then went to the Hawaii Bowl. And what I remember of it is that they accepted the bid to play in the Hawaii Bowl, and then the former president, Martha Saunders, pushed the athletic director, Richard Giannini, out. And then while the team was in Hawaii preparing for the bowl game, and Fedora had already announced he was leaving for North Carolina, they announced Ellis Johnson as the next coach while the team was in Hawaii with Blake Anderson as the interim, as I recall. So, I mean, they could have hired Blake then, but I guess they wanted somebody who'd I don't know. I don't know what the hell they wanted, what they were looking for, but they passed over on Blake, and the fan base, I remember, was irate. I mean, they were, at the time they didn't know how bad it was going to be with Ellis, but everyone kind of was on board with Blake Anderson
for
taking
the continuity
over. Right. And remember how good they were offensively.
Oh, they averaged 38 points, 450 yards a game. They came at you every which way. They were really, it may have been the best offense Southern's ever had, period.
Well, it does not hurt to have an Austin Davis they had some studs.
They had
too.
some weapons.
Yes,
yeah.
they did.
And they were really good on the other side of the ball, too. I mean, guys, I'll never forget Jamie Collins just chasing Case Keenum all over the field. I thought he was going to tear his head off.
Yeah, well, it was one of the funnest games I've ever watched. I mean, it was like Southern Miss was a double-digit underdog on the road.
And won by 21.
Oh, they were up 30 in the first half, as I recall. I mean, it was like they got the ball, went down and scored. Houston gets the ball, and they're number one passing offense in the entire country. And like on the third play, Keenum throws a pick six, and then they had like a punt return. I mean, it cascaded and was a lot of fun to watch.
You will remember Houston was undefeated, ranked 7th in the country, and then after Southern beat them, they clobbered Penn State in the Cotton Bowl.
Yeah. Well, it was. I'm telling you, it was an ambush.
Yeah.
And what was really cool was behind the scenes, and I don't know if anybody's ever talked about this, but it was like, Houston was treating the game like a glorified. The perception of the Southern Miss coaching staff and players and the whole program was that Houston was treating the game as if it was a coronation, and so was ESPN and the conference.
Yeah.
And Southern Miss showed up. Everybody showed up in like funeral clothes and just kind of went to work. And that was the last time that I felt like it was they were that confident going in. It's crazy to look back at that, to think where that program was and where it is now. And I hope that Blake can kind of revamp. I mean, he's like you said, he's got a long road to hoe.
Well, he's done this before. When he got the Arkansas State job, they had been through 5 coaches in 5 years. Mm-hmm. Now, a lot of that was because the coaches were successful and went on.
Right.
Yeah. But still, when you have 5 coaches in 5 years, there's a lot of uncertainty.
And then, of course, he went to Utah State after Arkansas State.
Right, and he took over a program that had won 1 game the year before, 2020. In 2021, his first year as the head coach, they won 11. It's the biggest turnaround in NCAA history. So he's been there and done this.
Yeah. Well, so it's the biggest turnaround in NCAA history, including the one that Charles Huff just completed at Southern Miss, where they went from 1 win to 7.
Yeah. He went from 1 to 11.
Yeah, pretty strong.
Yeah.
Pretty strong. Well, it's going to be tough to the road is so much longer right now, I would think, without just getting a million good guys in the portal.
Well, the portal gives you a chance. Even if you lose 18 starters, 30 seniors, 31 seniors, the portal gives you a chance. You just got to do a hell of a job in the portal.
Well, in your estimation, how did the press conference go in terms of how those things usually go yesterday? And were you hearing what you expected to hear?
Blake started out by saying that this isn't his element, that he's not.
Yeah,
that's the part of what he was saying is this is the part of the job that I'm not maybe the best at. But then he went on and just wowed the crowd. He did a great job.
I remember in press conferences every week you would get, during the season you would get Fedora, and then you would get both coordinators and a couple of players every week. And by far the best stuff always came from Blake because he was
honest.
Yeah, right. He didn't have he didn't have that coach speak in his head to fall back on. It was,
No, it's no coach speak with him. Yeah. It was from you could just tell it's from the guy. Hell, he started, he had tears in his eyes 2 or 3 times during the press conference. We'll see. It's the one thing that I keep going back to on the whole thing is that he's been there and he's done this. He has taken over programs and been successful twice before.
Yeah. Well, Godspeed and good luck. We'll have to get him on the pod sometime.
We will do that.
To talk about it. Dad, the other story that involved Southern Miss over the weekend was the passing of Jay Ladner's basketball coach, Jay Ladner's dad. It happened kind of overnight, and they were set to play Ole Miss at the Gulf Coast Coliseum then the very next day in a game that was, we watched the game. What'd you think? And then, have you had a conversation with Jay since then?
Just to send him condolences.
Yeah.
That's all the story's pretty close to me because I was covering high school basketball back in the days when his daddy was coaching at Picayune, and he was a legend down there. Jay's dad is Larry Ladner. Coach Ladner is all I ever knew him as. And then he came to Southern from Picayune to coach, to be a professor in their new athletic administration and coaching program. And he was their basketball guy. I actually took coaching basketball under Larry Ladner, Jay's dad, as did probably hundreds of guys who went on to become basketball coaches. I took it because I thought it was going to be an easy class. It was not. I studied and made a B.
Oh, wow.
And then after after I went on into sports writing and he was still the professor there, he would have me come back and talk to his classes about the relationship of sports media and coaches and how important it was for them to work together. And I always appreciated him. Jay Ladner takes after his dad in a lot of ways, and mostly in being a gentleman,
a decent human.
Yeah, a really good guy.
Yeah, I wish they'd teach that part of that class more often now. It seems like that relationship has become more and more adversarial over the years instead of a.
It's changed so much over my years in journalism.
To be honest, there's just a lot more money involved, but only on one side of the equation.
Yeah, on one side of the equation, there's a lot more money involved.
They're suddenly making millions and millions of dollars and don't need the ink-stained wretch anymore.
Yeah, Jay, by the way, coached his tail off in that game.
Man, they played great considering that, what's the NIL difference in those two teams?
I don't know precisely, but I'm certain that Ole Miss's is over $8 million a year and that Southern's is under $300,000.
Well, there you go.
And it was a 4-point game.
It was a 4-point game, and it was, they led there in the second. It was, it was a good game. I'm glad that I turned it on when I did. It was, I caught most of the second half because it was halftime Army-Navy, which was a lot of fun, by the way.
Oh, it's my favorite game of the year.
I know. I hated that those things were at the same time, but it worked out to where they went to halftime, and I got to watch most of the second half of the Southern Miss game.
Well, we're going to get into basketball a lot more in the new year.
Yeah. Well, we just, we hadn't turned the page yet.
Yeah,
and I don't,
as far as Ole Miss goes right now, I expected them to be a lot better than they are. I don't know how they're going to win a bunch of games in the SEC unless they improve real quick.
Yeah.
State seems to be playing a little bit better. And Southern has really surprised me. I think they're going to be really competitive. I think they got a chance to win their league.
Well, it's like Jekyll and Hyde. They've looked good like they did on Saturday, and then they've, got a loss to Grambling. You know what I mean? It's not like it's been up and down. They, as I told you the other day, I think they're one of the best teams I've seen that doesn't have size, length, or a perimeter shooter. You know what I mean? It's like they are well coached. I'll give Jay that.
I'll tell you this: they guard you.
Yeah,
and they do take the ball to the bucket.
Yeah,
and
against other teams in that league at that level, I think they're going to be. Yeah, I think you're right. Dad, before we send it off this week and head off to Oxford, got to talk about the Saints because I don't know how good this team is, to be honest, but they are better than the damn Panthers. That's all I know. They beat them twice, and we talked in this space last week about Tyler Shuck and how he is kind of coming into his own. The more he plays, the better he looks.
They have their quarterback to build around.
I honestly think that. I believe it.
And they have, I kept pointing out to you over and over Sunday, they have another Marcus Colston.
Yeah, the Vele.
Number 14.
Devon Vele.
Yeah, I can't pronounce his name. He's number 14. He gets open.
And he catches the ball. That's kind of what they've been looking for. And I think, I don't know that he is the home run threat that Raheed Shaheed was, but, I mean, they need somebody who they don't necessarily need that drive in the first half against the Panthers, the 95-yard 17 play that took like 11 and a half minutes off the clock. That's the recipe. They're not an explosive offense and not going to be until they get a few more weapons, but they can do that. And Shuck made every throw he needed to. He made plays with his legs. They did everything they needed to do, and that's got to be the recipe going forward. You can't leave the defense out there for 40 minutes a game. You just you just got to control the clock, and you got to, because, but they look pretty good, and albeit, against the Panthers, but who were leading the division, but they've beaten the Bucks and the Panthers in back-to-back weeks. They got me back on board thinking they are going to challenge for the division next year, and it would be really cool if they didn't have to take a quarterback going into this draft, and I don't think they need to.
Oh, I think that decision has been made. Maybe they can get somebody to protect the quarterback.
That'd be cool, but I think the offensive line, when they're healthy, they play okay. I mean, they got to cut down on some of those pre-snap penalties, and Lord knows Fuaga is going to get at least 3 or 4 flags a game. But hell, if they run 60 offensive plays or 50 offensive plays in a game, and he draws 3 flags and doesn't give up a sack, I'm almost okay with that. You know what I mean? Like hell, the way it's been. So I am, and I was looking into it a little bit. They're still in cap hell and will be for one more year.
Yeah,
but most of the dead money comes off the books in 2027.
Yeah.
So, they have a good draft this year, and they can build around this Shuck and Vele, and I like the running back Neal. Of course, Neal and Vele are both got hurt on Sunday, but this season's a wash anyway. As long as you know what you got in those guys, take your time, get healthy. But if they've got a young core to build around, and they don't have to take any high risk players in the draft, I mean, it's almost like you can see it, just hope they don't fumble.
Yeah, their goal is not to fumble. My goal is to live long enough to see them get there again.
I mean, I'm honestly, I know that I see everything through my gold-colored glasses, but I'm just telling you, I think they can compete for a division championship next season.
Yeah, they could this year if it was starting over.
Yeah, I think so. I think they're giving, and I'm not sold on Kellen Moore. I'm not. I think that, but I think he did a pretty damn good job on Sunday of managing that game. The call to when they had, I guess it was 15 seconds left, and they ran a quarterback draw to get a couple more yards for the field goal. I thought that was smart. Obviously, their whole defense was lined up along the sidelines. I mean, it's right there in the middle, and you've got time. Why not? I thought that was brilliant. I don't know whether he instructed Shuck to do that late slide, but it sure as hell worked.
It sure as hell helped that the guy hit him in the head.
Didn't help Shuck at all. I mean, but you saw him trying to come back in. I mean, he's obviously got he's got some toughness to him, and
he's got that it factor.
He does. I just wish he was 3 years younger. But I digress. I couldn't let the show end without talking about it because it's exciting. I know they've long since been eliminated, but I was watching a show yesterday where they were talking about how they were going through all the teams that have been eliminated and how they can improve. And they got to the Saints, and basically it was they already are improved. It's just a matter of they still need to get a couple of pass rushing defensive linemen and build it out from the back end there. And boy, it's exciting going in a draft thinking you might could take a defensive end instead of a quarterback in the first round. So
yeah, well, for the listeners out there, we're watching the end of the game, and it's we're feeling pretty good about the Saints, and then you say, well, they just messed up the draft choice.
Right. Well, it's just getting worse and worse. But I mean, that's the nature of the thing. I mean, it's been like that the past couple of years. They get into a point where it's like, hey, well, at least we'll have a high draft pick, and then they win, 4 out of 5 down the stretch and give us hope. But at least this time, I feel like there's
real reason.
I'm not just whistling Dixie here. So, well, everybody driving to Oxford, be safe this weekend, and good luck on your second mortgage to pay for the hotel room and the ticket. Rick and I will be up there on Saturday, and then we're headed to New Orleans for Christmas. It's upon us.
Looking forward to it.
You done all your Christmas shopping?
Not a bit.
Neither have I. Cheers to that. Everybody be safe out there. Have a good week. We'll talk to you next week.